Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. The front pages of the newspapers is here and it's next. You can be part of it by calling the number you'd find on the screen shortly. We do have Public Affairs Analyst Mr. Dotun Ojon joining us this morning.
Good morning. Good to be here again. Good morning. You and your fine shoe are welcome to the show.
For those who can't see, Dotun is putting on a fine shoe. Unfortunately, he might be going on with his slippers. He will not mind.
Why do you always talk about my little vanity?
You are complete now. By the time you stand up, you know wearing your shorts and your best working back home.
Good morning. It's good to be
here in the studio, so hopefully she gets to connect with us soon. But then again, let's go straight to the very first paper. And the very first paper we're going to look at is the Nigerian Tribune. That's our first paper for today. The Nigerian Tribune has at the top there, ASU suspends 2-week warning strike, rejects 35% salary increase offer, gives federal government 1-month window to address demands. And I like this because it means that they've listened to the Minister of Education, Minister Lausa, who had told them, give us more time. Let's look at it. So they've given them 1 month.
But is 1 month enough?
Well, we'll find out. IMPI reverses inflation rate projection to 14% from 17% for December. IMPI reverses inflation rate projection to 14% from 17% for December.
So it's not going to be that bad.
It's not going to be that bad.
But it's bad.
It's bad. It simply means that it is there, but it's somehow not too there. I don't even understand that English I just put before you. Anyway, gold rises by 60% as central banks shift reserves away from US dollar assets. Niger tanker explosion, death toll hits 42. ISWAP threat, Kogi Ondo move to douse tension. Strategic security measures reinforce surveillance intensified, Kogi says. We are in constant contact with security agencies, Ondo says. Election petition, Senate to shift burden of proof to INEC. We did hear that during the Senate conversation. They said they're going to move the burden of proof to INEC. Being too skinny might kill quicker than obesity.
Okay, start. They say you have health risks. Now you're skinny. Please, can't they pick a struggle?
They say if you're too fat, if you're obese, there's a problem. Now they're saying if you're too skinny, there's a problem. But let's go to our in-house analyst for today. Let's look at ISWAP threat. Kogi Ondo move to douse tension.
Are we doing enough to minimize this increase in violent threats and terrorism that seem to be moving towards the coastal states and the south?
Yes. Once criminality leaves Kwara, traveling south, criminality is in the southwest. Once banditry leaves Kogi, traveling south, banditry is in the southwest. So, and that makes both Kwara and Kogi an essential part of the traveling route. And we must be very, very careful. First, what this has shown is the ability of our security agencies to dictate early. We've talked about intelligence gathering. It's extremely important. In fact, there's nothing that can be done without adequate intelligence gathering. And this, by the DSS, has shown that our security operatives are actually on top of the game. And it's so necessary because what we've seen before now is that when they provide this report, internal rivalry between all the security operatives always prevent them from acting on this intelligence. I have never doubted the capacity of our intelligence gathering organizations about doing their job. But here is the issue. A lot of people have made an economy out of insecurity. And
it's a business.
Yes, it has become a very huge business. Either we want to talk about it or not. That's the reality. But again, I like the fact that they are making it public. It has its advantages and disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is the fact that that can actually cause panic within the community. And this is where the state governments now come in. The Kogi state, the Ondo state government, they must be able to douse the tension within their community. That once we have information as to this attack, the possibility of the attack has reduced by 70%. And unfortunately, again, Friday I talked about this thing. It's quite unfortunate that we are going to talk about it again. The believability gap between the people and their government is still so huge that for you to fight insecurity, you need the active participation of your community members. When your community members do not trust you, it becomes exceedingly difficult, if not practically impossible, for you to make headway in the fight. So the government must make it a primary assignment now, not just to educate the people, but to rally them against criminality. We saw what happened in Kwara, that a leader of the community was complicit in the banditry and the kidnapping that has been happening in his community. So we must point our searchlight to our community, mobilize our people against terror. And the only way we can do this efficiently is for the people themselves to believe that their government is trying to help them. But if we continue to make franchise out of criminality, if we continue to create economy around insecurity, it may take time to do so.
It should be a collective
yes,
effort.
Yes.
Now, quick one. Let's go to the ASU because it's very important. ASU suspends 2-week warning strike, rejects 35% salary increase offer. FG gives FG 1 month window to address demand. I mean, what do you make of this? Is 1 month enough time for the federal government to, put its house together and attend to all their needs? Let's not forget that we have the health sector and other things happening in the economy. And also, I mean, this 35% salary increase, if you ask any worker out there, they will say, it's quite significant. That why don't they take it and
just
let's move on from there.
Yes.
It shows good faith on the part of the government.
Okay, so the politician is still one of our major issues. I mean the behavior of the politician. For instance, if the politician has tightened his belt, ASU will not compare. In fact, you will not know you are earning less until comparison is done. So ASU will not have anything to compare with. But the reality is that the constitution of your nation allows me to be the president of the nation with an SSC or even a primary school leaving certificate. The constitution of the university forbids me to be a graduate assistant even if I have an HND. Not forgetting the fact that I've also gone to the Polytechnic to spend about 4 or 5 years to get that. So if somebody who is in the university with a master's degree or a PhD now is now looking at the salary of a man who has an SSC, because that's what your nation demands of him to have, to be a member of House of Reps or the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we have created an opportunity for comparison. And as long as it's like driving in traffic, if you are head up in traffic, you can maintain your lane for as long as possible until you see that your neighbor in the other lane starts moving. Until comparison sets in, you don't get to judge yourself or demand of yourself what you're supposed to demand. So the politician is earning so much, and the politician is telling ASU that what I'm giving you is enough. And when ASU now brings the certificate out, because it was the you have forgotten that it was the politician in those days that told ASU members to go to school.
Yes.
Now they have gone to school.
Yes.
Majority of them have made the first class. Now they are in the university teaching. The politician does not have the moral right to now tell them to tighten their belt. I think
but the politician is also looking at the resources of the country. Can we really afford
I have said it repeatedly that if we are talking about the resources of the country, honestly, the prosperity we have is not in question. The priority of our prosperity is what is leading to poverty.
What we're using the money for.
What we're using the money for is what is leading to poverty. And I said that the only moral right the politician has to tell every other person that I'm paying you enough is for them to look at, for the politician to look at himself and say, with the reality of what is in my community today, am I justified with what I am earning? But again, it comes back to our leadership recruitment process. The politician will also come back to justify his earning by saying that in the day of election, I spent 2 billion before the people voted for me. So it's a communal crisis, and it's beyond ASU.
Because you look at a country like Switzerland, Japan, Singapore, for example, where there's no widespread poverty, infrastructure is there, people have a high standard of living. And if their lawmakers earn a certain amount of money, you wouldn't flinch and question it.
But they
you
don't,
look at
funny enough.
Nigeria, and they still don't. But you look at Nigeria, there's widespread poverty all around you. We just drive outside now to the next traffic light. You see students, children that should be in classrooms hawking. There's perverse poverty everywhere. A lot of people are finding it hard to live. And then you see politicians moving around in 100 million convoy of SUVs,
being given 100 and something million.
earning huge amounts of allowances and salaries.
So
that's where the disconnect is.
It's a problem of, it's a communal problem that emanated from our traditional sense of leadership. Even if you check the normal Nigerian kind of movie in the local setting, you will see that the only gated house in the community belongs to the Igwe. So it tells you that the concept of leadership as it is for the man on top to lord over everyone, to live in opulence. Doesn't matter whether the people are living in poverty. And that's why I say that there's the need for a general structural reform. But do you know why that structural reform is a bit difficult? It's because of what we call culture shock. The politician, the expectation of the community is that the politician will build a system that will be bigger than him. The experience of the politician is that he has seen people that have come before him. They have built themselves more powerful than the system. So somebody gets there and is completely confused. What am I going to do? Am I going to follow the path of the experience I've got, or the expectation of the community? So year in, year out, we have conversation about ASU. It should not be something that we'll be talking about. You remember when this agreement was made? 2009. 2009, yes, 2009. And up till now, we are still going back and forth. So there must be a need for us to put our nation first. And putting your nation first may mean different things to many people. To ASU, it may mean that we should just do a bit of, what's it called? We should just shift our ground a bit. To the federal government, it must mean that you are ensuring that you are putting the destinies of the generations that are coming, you are guiding them, you are giving them an opportunity to thrive. Not that a 4-year course at the end of the day will turn to 6 or 7 years. And you know, now, when you check the pages of newspaper, when they are doing recruitment, they say that you are 22-year-old. As I'm 22, I was almost still, as I was 17, I was still roaming the street of my village. How do I want to graduate at 22 and go and look for a job? These are the realities.
5 years experience.
Cognitive experience.
All right, let's move on to another story. You were not here yesterday. We talked about it, but it's good to highlight it all over again. Niger tanker explosion, death toll hits 42. Tanker explosion here again. Yesterday we talked about the impossibility of having committees to be able to conclude on what should be done to instances or incidences like these. And here we are, another explosion.
And this
keeps going on.
This time around, the government didn't even bother saying, well, let's set up any committee. The Minister of Information just released a statement commiserating with the people and government of Niger State and the families of the bereaved.
So a philosopher had said it, and this is sad news, but of course, I've got to a point where I've decided not to wish anybody to rest in peace when I know that they did not die in peace. But a philosopher has said it, that when government wants to bury a matter, it sets up a committee. And that's why you see committee after committee. In fact, the committees with white paper, we can mention them. There's Confab in Nigeria, the paper is still there. There's also a report that recommended the merger of some institutions of government. There are committees, and committees without white paper, there are committees with papers and all of those things. And at the end of the day, it looks like a pastime and a way to find food for the boys, because those who sit in the committee at the end of the day will drink pure water. And they will
pop champagne.
They will drink pure water, and it's so sad. We should not trivialize issues like this. So when we are talking about priority, and I said it, that leadership is about 5 P's. Number 1 is the priority. And your priority is so important because it is your priority that will lead to the last 2. What's the last 2? It either leads to prosperity or poverty. That's how important priority is. When you talk about infrastructure, for instance, People think it's just about doing 1 kilometer of road and go there to tie a ribbon and you cut it at the end of the day, we shout hallelujah. No, it is strategic movement. And I've said it before that beyond oil, beyond agriculture, movement of people in a populated country is a worthwhile investment. I'm not expecting that as big as we are today, our major reliance will be on road transportation to move our crude, our fuel, or whatever it is that we move from one place to the other. There must be, and you were talking about some advanced economists.
Sorry, Doctor, let's take this caller. We'll come back to the movement of crude. Francis calls us from Uyo. Good morning, Francis. Like they say, I'm in Sierra.
The guest in the studio, honestly speaking, if you need a second wife, I would have given to you, because you are speaking, you are really speaking like a man who understands the issues. I have said ASU strike in Nigeria has become like part of the academic calendar. It has become part of the academic calendar. What do we want to do? How do we need to solve this problem? He talked about our politicians and the wages. ASU is saying, oh, because they are now good. I understand all of this. But you know the problem, like the guest have said, is a problem of the society. I want to collect 5,000 from a politician to vote him into power. And you know that to you it is 5,000. To the politician, he has not spent 5,000, and he has to recover the money when he gets into office. Then you now come and tell him to bring this. Please, our society, we need to change our mentality. We. Let us even leave this 5% of politicians. I call them 5% out of the rest of us. Now, what do we do? When some of us who complain we don't have PVC, we don't belong to any party, we don't stay where decisions are made. When they make the decision and bring out anybody they bring out for us to vote, we only vote those who are already out. We are not there in the decision making. That's number one. Number two, our conscience to what we want, our conscience. I speak this because this country has turned into a very big religious country, but I don't know where the religiosity is taking us to. We are so concerned about things that we should not be concerned about. Let us go all out. Whoever is culpable, whoever has done something wrong, mention that person's name. Don't group them so that we can really understand where our problem is. Finally, before I go, I've always said this word. Nigerian politicians are surprised that we believe them, even when they don't believe themselves. We need to rise up and do the needful in this country.
The Nigerian politicians are surprised.
They believe us.
I don't know, see,
So they don't even need to play the edit. Yeah. And if your wife is watching, it would be nice for you to either accept or decline his offer.
I don't want to have that conversation.
Because of his intelligence.
I don't want to say that.
I don't even know where the idea came from.
I can't make a choice for the man.
No, he's proposing something. He appreciates you.
You were talking about moving of crude and all that.
And all of that.
So
when we talk about infrastructure is not to make political statement. It is to meet the need of the users. So we have to sit down and say, how many lives have we lost? This is insecurity. People don't know. What just happened, that tanker explosion, is part of insecurity. Yeah. Anything that takes the life of your people, and that's what the government signed for. So we must go back, and this will take us to the cost of contracting. Sometimes people will frown at it, but some of the projects we do, and I will not mention any particular one, some of the projects we do to cover, even in the last administration of, this has been a culture of government, but even in the last administration, some of the contracts we do to link this place to this place, by the time you compare the reality with what other people do elsewhere, you know that these things are just too expensive. Some of the things, if we are really serious and we want to pay attention to the priorities and make things done, we will know what to do. And that's why I've said it also repeatedly, that the will of government is more and is bigger, is more powerful than the wish to work. We may wish to work, but what's the will of government? Do they have the political will to cover all of this ground? So we want to send our condolences to the people that died, but of course we also want to remind the government that we will not continue to send condolences to the family of victims of situations that are avoidable.
All right.
Avoidable.
Let's look at another story very quickly this time. Let's move on to Leadership newspaper. Leadership has a lot for us to look into. At the top right corner, Kanu opens defense list. Kanu opens defense, lists Wike, Umahi, Buratai, others as witnesses. Oh, really? Okay. The lecturers suspend strike, give government 1 month to address demands. We've taken that story. 2027, Sanwo-Olu, Fashola, Ambode back Tinubu. That was done just 2 days ago, and that story is still in the news. New electoral chief, Abupito, assumes office today. And presidency must remain in South, says Northern Group. Okay, all right. I don't know if the other Northern Group will agree with that. 1999 Constitution is irredeemable, Agbakoba. I don't know if you saw the piece Agbakoba put out. It was trending as well on X yesterday. He did a write-up, I think about 4 pages or so, where he mentioned that Nigeria's 1999 Constitution is irredeemable. It will make a very good read. So maybe I'll try as much as possible, possibly send you the link as well, so you could take a look at that. It makes the front page of the Leadership. It's something everyone should read. And hopefully, if we can lay our hands on the legal luminary, I would look forward to have him on the show so we can discuss further on that. Niger tanker explosion. We've taken that. Federal government seeks $10 billion credit to address humanitarian challenges. Let's talk about that. We had the special advisor of the youth wing of the APC join us.
No, the APC youth leader.
Leader, I beg your pardon. I always find it hard to, with that statement, youth leader, youth.
It's the leader of the youth in APC.
Youth in APC, okay. He joined us,
Dio Israel.
Honorable Dio Israel. And one of the questions we had asked him here was, is giving out money to vulnerable youths or Nigerians, is that the solution to the problem? And he said, yes, it is. And we said, is that what is done in other climes? And we didn't have time to go into that. But what's your take on federal government seeking $10 billion credit to address humanitarian challenges? This $10 billion, where is it coming from? Are we going to borrow again?
I mean, and then we're running the risk of sinking into a debt trap and serious crisis, because we're spending so much already in servicing debt. And there you have it again. In just 2 years, Mr. President wants another loan to be given out to address humanitarian challenges.
Okay, so my study of economies that are doing well across board shows that at one point or the other, they actually have a portion like this, especially in a well-populated country like ours. There's always a portion for the vulnerable. The government will always make provision either by direct cash to them, making food available to them, or all of that. So that's part of economic growth, actually, in the real sense of it. But here's the complication of our own. Corruption is the complication of our own situation, to the extent that people now will now take the money. The first evil that always before the money is partisanship. That they will now begin to look at the direction of their party members. The second evil that always before this money is that this part of this money always escapes into private pocket. Always.
And now we can't even account for it. They're saying that's a big question. But they're saying you have to. They're saying you have to protect their identity. But
there's freedom of information.
Yeah, but they said nobody wants to appear in public or have their name saying
I doubt that.
You are protecting.
Okay, just mention on social media that you're giving dignity. Out 4,000 naira. You see people come out on your chat.
So the problem really is not with the intention. The problem is with the execution of the intention. Because if this money truly, there are people in my community today that if you give them 1,000 naira, you have done a lot for them. In the real sense of it.
But we didn't teach them to fish.
No,
they will come back.
So
how sustainable is that?
No, so in a populated country like ours, there will always be that little percentage of people. There's nothing you can do about them. You can't teach them anything. There's that percentage. But the money we are allocating is not getting to that percentage. That is my own issue. See, in 2019, was it 2019 or 2017, I was forced to tweet at the then vice president. I said, in my community, I give out money to people. Then in my community. So I just identified them, the women in the community. This is the strategy. I met with them. We called it ROBIS, Rural Women Business Support Scheme. And I said, how many of you are doing daily contribution? And I saw them. So they had the capacity to contribute 500 per day at the level of daily contribution. I said, okay, if you have the capacity to contribute 500 naira per day, it means that you can still do a lot. So I will total the sum together. For those that were putting 1,000 naira into daily contribution, I give them 30,000 at the beginning of the month. All they need to do is to return that 30,000 by the end of the month. Then I mentor them through their businesses. And this thing was yielding result. So I had to tweet at the vice president and say, if at my corner I am doing this and it's yielding result, how come this trader money we are talking about, pastor, how come this trader money is not yielding result? It was after then that we got to know that even trader money is going to untrader people. So the problem we have is not with intention. The problem we have is with the execution of the process, and we can continue to say it until we can line up 10 people in each CDA, Community Development Association, Community Development Committee, and we say these 10 people are beneficiary of this direct cash transfer. People will not believe. And it's not the problem of people, it's what government has done over and over and over and over. That ministry, the way people look at it now, maybe people in power are not aware. The way people look at that ministry now,
the Ministry of Humanitarian.
Yes, they just think that it's just a pipe through which government officials actually siphon money. And I'm not saying we cannot redeem it. The policy, again, I have to lay emphasis, has been done elsewhere. And it has been successful. In a populated country like ours, we have people that we have to transfer money to unconditionally. We have those. But again, we must ensure that this process does not give back to riffraff and the money does not go into the pocket of corrupt politicians.
Just looking at just 1 month ago, the monies that have been doled out, maybe we just need to do a comprehensive list. There are so many. Vice President Shetima ordered a speedy disbursement of 250 billion naira loan for smallholder farmers. Prior to that, we also heard that the federal government was also going to disburse a certain amount of money to Nigerians who are going through hardship and so on. And people are asking, how do you identify them? How did you select them? What's the criteria? Was there, as usual, a committee that was set up to look into these people? What are the processes? How do you, because I don't know about you, Dr. Ojon. Me, are they hungry?
So one of the other problems we have is that there's no sense of urgency in our governance process. For instance, the president, the most powerful person in Nigeria, can give order. And we can continue to drag our feet with the order. So most of those, especially I know about the Greek, that I think they are in the application process. But they will give order today. Before execution, it can take additional 1 year. That is why the East-West Road since 2006, I was still asking questions whether I could risk it from Benin. If I fly to Benin, I could get somebody to drive me all the way from Port Harcourt. They advised me not to try it. East-West Road 2006, we keep dragging our feet. Even our own Ibadan Road now, you cannot travel to Ijebu-Ode. Ojude Oba is one of the most interesting festival that you can talk about that can give us foreign earning. Before the death of TB Joshua, the gathering in his church was fetching us foreign exchange. So it means that if we can get all of these people to come into our country, the pressure we have on dollar will reduce. And Ojude Oba is an example of what we can use. But let me shock you, you cannot get there. That's not how you want to drive there. A pregnant woman uses that road, he will lose the pregnancy. Now, thank God they've started the reconstruction. But I hope that a sense of urgency will be attached to it to a point where we get this done. So again, it's about the corruption.
Why we always slow about these things. For example, the federal government a few months ago launched with fanfare, President Tinubu distribute 2,000 tractors to boost farming. The tractors are yet to be distributed. And other agricultural equipment. The delay was attributed to the timing and it's just these. You've bought the tractors, but because of bureaucracy and red tape, you haven't been able to distribute it. So
Politicians
and we're talking about food security
And these are the tractors that the president had mentioned
Exactly.
in the October 1 broadcast of last year.
Yes.
It was last year he mentioned these tractors. If you recall, 2024, when he said they're going to give tractors to farmers for mechanized farming and so on, till today.
Okay, so when the politician wants to talk now, he would blame the civil servants. And as a person who started out in the civil service setting, I can tell you that it is the leadership that sets the pace for development. And as we have now, we have political leaders who are supposed to set the pace of development. We sleep on things. There's no consequence for... Do you know that contractors come from their own countries? We give them contract here in Nigeria. Every contract has a timeline. In fact, in those days when you are traveling, you will see that this contract is for 12 months.
Yeah, they put
the board there. And after 12 months, there's no consequence. And he comes again to take another contract and abandons it. There's one particular road in the Ikorodu side of Lagos that I remember those years. That road took about 8 years. It's not up to 500 meters.
I really hope we step up and apply the sense of urgency. Because when they're moving around, they use sirens. So I hope they apply that sense of urgency
that same speed
into governance and issues. Thank you so much, Dotun Ojon, for your time. As always.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.